It was intended to be the ultimate flex of the 21st century. Dubai didn't just want to build the tallest building or the largest mall, it wanted to rebuild the geography of the Earth itself. In 2003, the Emirate announced the World, a collection of 300 artificial islands shaped like a map of the planet, visible from space. It was sold as the most exclusive address in the universe. Imagine owning Great Britain as your private holiday estate or buying France for your weekend getaway. Billions of dollars of sand were dredged from the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Celebrities like Michael Schumacher and Richard Branson were flown in on helicopters to plant flags on virgin beaches. But today, nearly 2 decades later, if you look at satellite imagery, the world looks less like a crisp map and more like a dying smudge. The islands are merging together. The pristine beaches are eroding back into the sea. And the luxury villas that were promised are, for the most part, non-existent. Instead of a billionaire's paradise, the project has become a cautionary tale of engineering hubris. The ocean is actively reclaiming the sand. The water between the islands has turned into a stagnant, toxic soup, and the investors who bought into the dream have been left holding titles to patches of sand that are literally washing away beneath their feet. This is the mega defect of terraforming. You can fight the ocean, but you cannot win forever. Today we are exposing the 3 fatal reasons why Dubai's world islands are drowning. 1. The physics of vanishing sand. 2. The toxic stagnation of the waterways. And 3. The financial mirage of the sinking investment. Let's set sail for disaster. Just as the sand of the world islands is being slowly eroded by the currents, your digital privacy is being eroded every day by trackers, data brokers, and unsecured networks. If you don't have a breakwater protecting your connection, your personal data will eventually wash away into the hands of people who want to sell it. So don't build a digital life you can't protect. That's why I use NordVPN. NordVPN encrypts your internet connection, ensuring that your data doesn't become digital waste floating around for hackers to exploit. Beyond security, NordVPN lets you access the global internet without borders, bypassing geo-restrictions to unlock content from anywhere. Secure your digital future today and use code MEGADEFECT for up to 73% off, plus 3 extra months. Our first fatal reason is a masterclass in geology and hydrodynamics, the vanishing sand. To build the world, engineers employed a technique known as land reclamation on a scale never before attempted in open water. They dredged 320 million cubic meters of sand from the floor of the Persian Gulf and sprayed it into the ocean to form the islands. This process is visually spectacular. Ships spraying massive arcs of sand, known as rainbowing. However, physically, it creates a ticking time bomb. When you dredge sand and spray it, the grains land in a loose, chaotic structure. They are not packed tightly together like natural rock or sedimentary layers that have been compressed for millions of years. They are aerated and saturated with water. Getty images. This makes the islands incredibly vulnerable to liquefaction. Liquefaction occurs when loosely packed, waterlogged sediments lose their strength and behave like a liquid rather than a solid. This can be triggered by seismic activity, and Iran, a major earthquake zone, is just across the Gulf, or simply by the settling of the heavy structures built on top. If you build a concrete hotel on loose sand, the weight pushes down, increasing the water pressure in the pores between the sand grains. Eventually, the sand pushes apart and the building sinks. To prevent this, every inch of these islands requires a process called vibrocompaction. Massive vibrating probes are inserted deep into the sand to shake the grains into a denser configuration. This is incredibly expensive and time-consuming. Because of the financial crash that halted the project, many of these islands sat for years without proper compaction. They are effectively piles of loose sponge. We saw the consequences of this with the island of Ireland, which was reported to be physically eroding and sinking back into the sea before construction could even finish. But the bigger threat is hydrodynamic erosion. The world is located 4 kilometers offshore, completely surrounded by open water. Unlike the Palm Jumeirah, which is connected to the coast and benefits from the coastal shelter, the world is exposed to the elements. Specifically, it is exposed to the shamal winds. These are powerful northwesterly winds that blow across the Persian Gulf. kicking up significant waves and currents. When you drop a pile of loose sand into a current, the water wants to flatten it. Physics dictates that nature abhors a pile. Gravity and water strive for equilibrium. The waves scour the beaches, picking up sand grains and moving them into the channels between the islands. This is a process called literal drift. The islands were designed with specific, crisp coastlines to resemble the map of the world. But water doesn't care about cartography. Satellite photos taken over the last decade show a terrifying trend. The crisp outlines of the continents are blurring. The sharp beaches are rounding off. The deep water channels between the islands are clogging up with eroded sand. Effectively, the islands are merging back into a single shapeless blob. The developers are fighting a forever war against the ocean, requiring constant dredging and sand replenishment just to keep Florida from drifting into Mexico. Without a permanent, endless budget for maintenance, the world is destined to become the puddle. Reason number 2 is the most disgusting and unintended consequence of the design: the stagnant cesspool. When you look at the marketing map of the world, you see hundreds of narrow, picturesque channels of blue water separating the countries. It looks like a tropical Venice, but Venice has a crucial advantage that Dubai does not: massive tidal shifts that flush the canals clean twice a day. The Persian Gulf has relatively weak tidal movement. To protect the sand islands from the Shamal waves we just discussed, engineers built a massive, continuous rock breakwater around the entire archipelago. This breakwater is 27 kilometers long. It acts like a fortress wall, stopping the destructive waves from eating the sand. But this created a lethal hydrodynamic catch-22. The breakwater stops the waves, which saves the sand, reason number 1, but it also stops the water circulation. It turned the archipelago into a giant stagnant bowl. The fresh, oxygenated seawater from the open Gulf cannot get in easily, and the water inside cannot get out. The result is eutrophication. The water in the narrow channels becomes still, warm, and deoxygenated. In the scorching heat of the Middle East, this stagnant, shallow water is the perfect breeding ground for algae blooms and anaerobic bacteria. Reports from visitors and pilots flying overhead have described the water in the center of the world as turning green, murky, and sludge-like. It is a biological dead zone. Now consider the implications if people were actually living there. A functioning city produces massive amounts of wastewater, gray water, and runoff. In a normal coastal city, this is treated and dispersed into the open ocean where currents dilute it. In the world, any discharge, even treated runoff, would have nowhere to go. It would simply circle around the islands, trapped by the breakwater, turning the exclusive paradise into an open sewer. Engineers realized this flaw too late. They attempted to retrofit the design by cutting massive gaps or sluices in the breakwater to try and force water circulation. But this reintroduced the wave energy, which immediately accelerated the sand erosion. It is the ultimate engineering paradox. If you block the waves to save the land, you kill the water. If you let the waves in to save the water, you lose the land. This stagnation has turned the luxury dream into a biological hazard. You cannot sell a $20 million beach villa if the water lapping at the shore is green slime that smells of sulfur. The environment itself has rejected the development. Finally, we have the reason why the world remains a ghost town today: the financial mirage. The project was launched in 2003 with extreme fanfare. By 2008, it was claimed that 70% of the islands had been sold. But the timing was catastrophic. The project hit the market right before the 2008 global financial crisis. When the crash hit, Dubai's property market didn't just dip, it collapsed. Property values fell by 60%. The master developer, Nakheel, went into massive debt, requiring a multi-billion-dollar bailout from neighboring Abu Dhabi just to survive. The investors who had bought islands, often for $20 million to $50 million a pop, suddenly found themselves owning a pile of sand 4 kilometers offshore with absolutely zero infrastructure. And this is the logistical nightmare that nobody talks about. Buying the island is the cheap part. Developing it is an economic impossibility. These islands are not connected to the Dubai power grid. They are not connected to the municipal water supply. They are not connected to the sewage system. To build a hotel on Germany, you have to build your own diesel power plant. You have to build your own desalination plant to turn seawater into drinking water. You have to build your own sewage treatment facility. And to build any of that, you have to barge in every single brick, every bag of cement, every pane of glass, and every worker by boat from the mainland. The cost of construction is astronomically higher than on land. Some estimates say 30% to 50% higher. This economic reality has led to high-profile tragedies and failures. In 2009, John O'Dolan, the Irish developer who bought the island of Ireland for $38 million, tragically committed suicide as his company collapsed under the financial strain. The stress of trying to develop a sandbar in the middle of a recession was too much. Another developer, Kleindienst, is currently trying to build the heart of Europe on 6 islands. They have promised snowing streets in the desert, underwater villas, and a coral institute. But the progress has been agonizingly slow, plagued by delays, missed deadlines, and legal disputes with the master developer. Even after 15 years, it is still largely a construction site. Most famously, there was the Penguin Island disaster. An owner attempted to ferry cars and equipment to his island to begin work. But because the sand shelves are shallow and shifting, due to the erosion we discussed, the landing ramp collapsed. A truck slid off the barge and sank into the sea. It was a perfect metaphor for the entire project. For the vast majority of the 300 islands, there is nothing there. Just sand, scrub brush, and a for sale sign that nobody wants to answer. The investment has literally sunk. The developers promised a world. They delivered a mirage. The value of these islands has plummeted because the market realizes that a private island with no water, no power, and eroding beaches is not an asset. It is a liability. The world islands stand today as a quiet, sandy monument to the limits of human ambition. We have the technology to dredge mountains of sand. We have the money to redraw the map. But we do not have the power to force the ocean to accept our terms. The physics of erosion, the biology of stagnation, and the cold reality of logistics have conspired to turn this dream into a ruin before it was ever really inhabited. It serves as a reminder that the Earth is not just a canvas for our ego. It is a dynamic living system. And when you try to fight the ocean always wins in the end. The world is slowly drowning, and no amount of money can hold back the tide. Would you buy an island in the world for $1, knowing the maintenance costs? Or is the risk of your investment washing away too high? Let us know in the comments below. And if this deep dive into the failure of terraforming fascinated you, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure to subscribe to Defect. We are mapping the flaws of the modern world, one island at a time.